guys, welcome back to another edition of Chats from the Blog Cabin. Today I'm joined by Chelsea. We actually met each other one time in person, but we've done all these online events together. I had Stephanie from Restored for Moms on, and we did a Bible study together, didn't we, Chelsea?
Oh, yes. So good. Well, nice to meet everyone. And I'm so honored to be able to actually officially chat with Melissa. I'm Chelsea. I'm I'm a blogger called The Fashionable Believer. I started that in 2017. And I just I just launched an online boutique in June called Charley Madelyn. So I'm excited to be on and chat with Melissa. I love that introduction. I'm loving that.
iMovie. Everybody loves that introduction. I'm like, all afternoon in an iMovie, you just drop it in. They have trailers and it's done.
That's perfect. I feel like I know you now.
Yeah. So let's talk about why you wanted to start an online boutique, especially during COVID, because you launched it in June. I mean, oh my gosh.
I did. So I'm a blogger, and I started in 2017 with that. And what I was so interested about was the two worlds colliding with faith and fashion. And those are both my passions and just something that I loved, I could talk about for hours. And I wanted to blog about that. And so it was really the blog that kind of showed me that these two worlds can not only collide and can exist in the same world, but they can do so very nicely. And so it was just such a great opportunity to just be able to meet people that also had the same interest, and just be able to empower women through both worlds. And so in June of last year, I really feel like I've always loved clothes, but I think in the past 2 years or so, I really started liking, the idea of, maybe I should open a boutique. And so I had this idea of, it has to be brick and mortar. That's the only way to do it, right? And so I think over time, God just gave me signs that it can happen in multiple ways or in different ways than what I envisioned it, as usually what happens. And so in July of last year, I did my registration for Charley Madelyn, and then in January I really started prepping, and then I launched in June. And so all of this while, in January, before COVID really was COVID, I had June in my heart and just it kind of exactly what I just felt like that was when I should do it. And so when March hit, there was definitely COVID happening, and a little bit down the line where I was supposed to get apparel for my boutique, they closed. So now I literally had to think of ways to find clothing online and all of these different ways and routes to go. And I think more so than ever, I felt the strongest in March about it. I felt like this was exactly what I needed to do. And the verse, and I actually have a coffee mug about it. The verse and the scripture, perhaps this is the moment for which you've been created, it's been in my mind ever since. And I think, although it doesn't make sense to open a business when all of these businesses are trying to find new ways to be creative for people that don't want to go out and out in the world and trying to still capture that revenue or at least still try to break even. It doesn't make sense for me to open right now. Why? But I truly believe my whole life speaks on faith, and I wouldn't be a testament to others or allow God to get his glory if I didn't open right when it doesn't make sense, because that's when God works, Mm-hmm. I have experienced that so much, and I'm sure so many others have too. And so I just felt, again, more than ever, this was the time to go. And it's been such an honor to meet and connect with women. Our slogan or our mission is to empower women through faith and fashion. And although that's our mission, I feel so empowered and encouraged by the community that we've created. And it's just been such a blessing these past 2 months. So I'm just honored.
Well, I do think it's funny that you mentioned perhaps you've made for a time like this. A friend of mine, because before I started the blog cabin, before we closed in the walls, came and wrote that exact scripture in
Wow.
the walls. So it's embedded. So it's covered up, but it's like
Oh,
embedded in the wall. So that
wow.
exact scripture is in the blog cabin. And it's so
Oh,
good that you should say that.
yes. Oh my goodness. I love that. It's just so true. And it's just so, because I think as women in general, we just have so much, we just sometimes like, why is this happening? Why, and I think when we reflect on that verse and that scripture, it just shows that it's all happening for a reason and that God is so intentional about everything. And it just allows you to have peace, amongst all the craziness going on in the world. It just reminds you to have peace in this world, and to not be shaken.
Yeah, because honestly, when I first started the blog cabin, it was just something for me to work, to blog in, not to actually host chats. And chats actually came through COVID too. So that came about. So I love seeing people that are prospering during COVID and not letting it get them down.
Absolutely. That's so true. I did not realize that chat started during COVID. That's amazing.
Yeah. Now, you did something really cool to start your online business. I loved it on Instagram. I followed it. You did your Instagram live fashion show, which was really cool. So tell us about that.
Yeah, thank you. All the while before COVID happened, I was really having an idea or a vision to go to have a launch party in person. I had made all the detail, like everything was finalized. And so then things happened, and I just started to realize that maybe this wasn't a good idea. I think honestly, in the latter part of May, I was still holding on hope, like, okay, maybe we can do in person, but it just seems not to be the best option at all. But I still really wanted I wanted people to get that connection. I wanted people to feel Charley Madelyn, and I wanted for them to get a sense of our brand. And so I won't take any credit for it. All of us, I truly believe that it was planted in my heart to do a vision, to do a fashion show, but virtual. And I do not do technology at all, which I'm very grateful I'm able to get on this. But I don't do technology at all. And so I was trying to figure out the ins and outs of how to do it. And then I wanted to get my friends involved, that are bloggers and here and in other areas. And I just felt like this was a great opportunity. People are doing a lot of Zooms and virtuals and everything. So why not try to utilize this space to be able to show what Charley Madelyn is about? I didn't think just doing a live and just doing a launch, my website's live, I didn't think that would do it justice. So I really wanted to do something that really embodied Charley Madelyn, that made people feel empowered, even if they're looking online for a few minutes. I really wanted them to get the feel of Charley Madelyn. So I was grateful for my blogger friends that participated, and it was a really good turnout. Everybody was so supportive, and it was so exciting.
Now tell us the meaning behind the name Charley Madelyn.
Yeah, so Charley Madelyn is named after my twin daughters, Charley and Madelyn, and going back to our mission, empowering women through faith and fashion, Charley and Madelyn served to me as a beacon of hope and faith. As my husband and I had a fertility journey for a year and a half, and when we got pregnant with twins, it was just amazing and just it was just God, Mm-hmm. And so they serve as our beacon of hope, and so we wanted Charley Madelyn to serve as a beacon of hope and encouragement to others that are either if they're walking in that season, or if there's another season that's maybe different but still complicated, or if they're living the best life, they're having the best time of their lives. I still want to reach them and let them know that I'm holding the space for you, and we are going to get through it together.
Well, I'm kind of partial to the name Madelyn, even though I spell my daughter's Madelyn's name different. It's Line. My oldest is named Madelyn. We call her Maddie for short.
Maddie for short, yes, so do we. Oh, I love that name. That's actually a book. Isn't that the name?
Madeline, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I love that. Oh, I did not realize that you had a Madeline. Special people.
Totally special people.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the challenges you had for starting a business.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the first one just really was not being able to. I'm thankful that I had the opportunity to go to market to be able to scope out the clothing I wanted. I was able to do that in January, but I wasn't there to buy. I was there to just scope out, figure out what Charley Madelyn is going to bring, and so in April was exactly the date that okay, this is when I'm gonna get all my items, and it was canceled. So I literally had to,
Wow.
yeah, and I had to pivot, as this is the word of the year. Pivot. So I just had to, and I had no idea what brands were and so I really had to do a good guess as to what I thought would be good quality, what I thought would be, appealing, and what I liked, and hope that other people liked. But that was definitely, and it still is a challenge to this day, because while there are some markets still taking place, there's still not any. The one in Atlanta that I normally go to was canceled.
Wow.
So it's really hard to just be able to gauge the trends and what people will like, and not being able to touch things and see it on a real person.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So that has definitely been hard, but I've been so encouraged by everyone that has been accepted and receptive of the styles, being able to pull in my support team to let me know, okay, this does look cute, or this does. That has been really helpful. And just being able, I think as an online, this is kind of where online is a little bit harder compared to brick and mortar. Not being able to express Charley Madelyn, but only in a virtual platform. And I think that's kind of hard, because you really want people to really see what Charley Madelyn's about, but you have to do it through a virtual stage. So that's just been a little complicated. And then just being able to figure out transitional seasons and pieces like that have been a little bit complicated as well. But we're getting through it. I am just taking one day at a time and trying to really give myself grace, and trying to let myself know that you don't have to know everything. Just take it one step at a time, and it will get done. It will get done.
Yeah. So you have a huge faith, obviously, because you said it was like faith in fashion. Now let's talk about, do you see yourself going to a brick and mortar store or doing a fashion truck like the Flourish Market did at one time?
Love the Flourish Market. I am hoping and praying to be brick and mortar. That is my goal. I did a pop-up in August, and it was so good, which is what I was kind of saying about the virtual being online, not being able to touch, although I really couldn't touch you I couldn't touch anybody anyway right now, but just being able to see you and give you hope, and then you to give me hope, that kind of is a disconnect. But when I was at the pop-up and just being able to meet people and talk to people about clothes, and even more, it was just so refreshing, and more affirmation and confirmation that I am on the path that God has led me to be. And so I say all that to say that I really truly believe in my heart that a brick and mortar is in store. I'm praying for it and believing in it, and we're just in the process now of being able to have that vision, because I believe that vision is the beginning of it all. You can see where you want to be, see what you want to, accomplish, and so we're in that stage now. So hopefully and prayerfully, we will get into brick and mortar. Hopefully in a year or two is our hope and goal.
Yeah, I know what you're saying about online shopping, because it's one, pictures can show one thing, but then you get it and you're like, that's not the same thing.
Right.
Or it looks so different on the model than it would on me.
Exactly. And we just tried to, because I understand that I am not straight figure at all, and and so it's hard for me to shop online. So we just added a sizing guideline chart to kind of help as much as possible. I do offer styling sessions that are one-on-one, or styling parties as well. But that way you can really get the feel of it, and I can hold it up close and personal and all of that, so you can kind of see what the texture is. And I even offer to try it on. It's all it's all game. we can do it all with the one-on-one. And so try to offer that personalized session and as much as possible. And also if there's something, if you don't have time for a session, if somebody has a question about the fit, I try to offer to send me an email or send me a DM, and I will try it on for you and send it through chat, or I'll talk to you more about it. So I try to offer that as much as possible. But again, it is hard for people to like not be able to touch it and see it on.
What I also like is when I was looking at your website, I noticed a lot of familiar faces as your models. I love that you're using your blogger friends as models on the website. I love that.
Thank you. They have been such a huge blessing and just so supportive. When I did the virtual launch, everybody was just so excited for me and was ready to go and just did it. I'm just like, this is awesome. Like, it's completely like, it was just amazing. It was so overwhelming, the amount of positivity that I received from my blogger friends. It's just such a great industry. And I'm sure you can attest to that too. The connections that have been met and been built through this is something I will not take for granted.
Yeah, luckily the groups that we kind of run into are like similar. We were talking earlier about how before we came on, how we knew a lot of the same people, but we never we met one time. Yeah. But you're right. There are some bloggers out there that are so supportive and want to help each other. And then there are other ones that are like, no, it's mine. You can't have it. It's like a little boy with a teddy bear or something wanting to grab it. Not wanting to pick it up.
I know. And that's unfortunate. I love the community over competition. I think that's how it is. This thing goes. I'm a little rusty around that. But I just love that, being able to uplift one another, and one person's success or doing something else doesn't negate you. And it's just been such a blessing to see the community just be so strong, especially now through COVID, and just, it's been so great. We have a great, and I agree. The local community here is so supportive, so positive.
Yeah, I'm local adjacent because I'm like an hour outside of Raleigh, so so I have to travel.
Where are you? Are you night?
No, I'm in Goldsboro.
Oh, the eastern part of. I'm from the eastern part of North Carolina.
Okay, where?
Greenville.
Okay, I grew up in a little town outside of Jacksonville called Richlands.
Okay, I'm not okay.
But you know where Jacksonville is, right?
Oh, yes, I do. Yes.
It's right outside. It's right down 258, going past Kinston.
Yes, Kinston. Yep. Oh my goodness. It's like some people, like it's like you don't even tell people like where you're from if they're not from the area. Like, where you're from? Like, I'm just from the eastern part of North Carolina.
Yeah, they're like, no. Okay, whatever.
Right. Is it by the beach? That's all they care.
Is it by the beach or by the mountains or right there by the Capitol? That's all they care about. They don't care about anything else.
Nothing else. That's so cool. Now,
you weren't originally a blogger, were you?
No. So I started blogging in 2017. But I guess my full-time career it's an attorney. So I work as an attorney for a pharmaceutical company, which is not an exciting job compared to being a blogger and owning a clothing store. But it definitely, and it's something that I kind of, it plays in my mind a lot, the what ifs, like, oh, if I would have just pursued fashion or just pursued marketing, or just pursue like clothing or like what, in that kind of field, where would I be? But I have to remind myself almost every day that that's just the path that God set you on, and everything, again, going back to everything is for a reason. He's so intentional. And so it's been a blessing. It has allowed me to be able to work home from home and be able to be with my babies full time, which is something that was something that I was strong about. And so I'm grateful for it. It's very flexible, and it is definitely a blessing for sure. But it's just like when you compare the two, what's your passion? Exactly.
Like, this one pays the bill, but this one I'm really, really passionate about.
Right. But it's required me to definitely do some balancing. I don't have a nanny. I used to, but with COVID and everything, we are, my mom's here, so she's a huge help. And so I've really had to, it's required me to really schedule, like to prioritize my schedule. So in the mornings, I'll get up early to do work, like a good bulk of work for my full time. And then that allows me the morning with the girls. And then they have 2 naps now, but I think they're steering on to 1. But for now, they have 2 naps, which allows me to have a good block of work in as well. And then I work in the evening. So it's just been it's been great, but it requires me to stay on schedule.
So what advice would you give to moms that are working at home right now that have littles? Because how old are your daughters now?
1. They're 1.
So what advice would you give them?
Absolutely. So I utilize help for sure. And I know that is, so that, I know I'm grateful to be in a situation where my mom is here with me, helping me with the girls. But if there is a situation where there is an opportunity for an in-law or for someone that has asked for you to help, has asked to help, and you may not want to because of mom guilt and all of the things, because I was just reading about this this morning. I think we're all guilty of mom guilt, of having that perception of, I have to do all the things in order to be a good mom, a good wife, a good, XYZ. But delegation is the name of the game. In order to, you can have your job and you can be an amazing mom and you can be an amazing wife. But I say all that to say, to be able to delegate, I know that COVID makes it sticky. So I probably, if my mom didn't live with me, I probably would be in the same, I probably would also be a little hesitant as well. So if you have that help and a safe help, then definitely try to utilize that. But also in the mornings, or whatever your go time is. So whatever, when the children are asleep or they're occupied with whatever that may be, school or play, or it's educational time, so they're occupied. Utilize that time as your go time. For me, it's naps, and I just utilize those blocks to get work done. I used to, but I don't try to balance the 2 anymore. I feel like if I'm trying to check emails and attend to my daughters, something is going to go. It's not going to get attended to. And I definitely want my daughters to get that attention. And so I just utilize that time for them and then utilize the time for work when I have it. Otherwise, it gets so overwhelmed and just bothered with the day. And so that's kind of what I would suggest, just trying to get blocks of the day that you can. If it's early in the morning or early at night, whatever your go time is, hone in on those time and just make sure that you're doing what you like, doing your work schedule. And then try to utilize their nap times if they're younger, or if they're school age, try to utilize their school age time to do what you need to do that's priority and urgent. I do try to make like a to-do list as to what needs to be done. Maybe I don't need to answer that email, but I do need to get this contract out. So I'll work on that. And then whenever I don't get done, I'll do it when the girls go down for their nap. So that's kind of what I would suggest and what's been working for me, but I know everybody else is a little different.
Yeah. Plus, when you're working at home, you kind of tend to you see the laundry, you see the dishes, you see all this other stuff, and you get distracted. How do you keep from being distracted like that?
So I just try to utilize those times where I try to do a huge chunk of housework on Saturdays and Sundays when my husband's home. And that way I won't have that to look at. But let's be honest, it does happen sometimes. It is there. But I try to utilize my weekends to do a bulk of it. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they said if you're of the mindset where that does bother you, then try to carve out some time. Although I know that we don't have time. Time is precious these days, but carve out some time where you can do a bulk of it. So you don't necessarily see that laundry basket or you don't see those dishes. You kind of have that time set aside and it's already done. You don't have to worry about it. I also would be of the mindset that out of sight, out of mind. So obviously you can't do that for dishes, but if you are doing that for, like, if you have a laundry basket and it's in your kitchen or in your living room, move it to the room where you're not looking at it. And then when you go to your room and you're in a better situation or you have more time, then you can tend to it. But just get it out of the room or close the door to your laundry room or whatever that may be. Just block it out.
And meal prep, that must be real big. to our meal planning, because I can imagine wrangling 2 1-year-olds while you're trying to cook could be another whole nother story, right?
Oh my goodness. Yes. So I try to utilize the time with my mom when my mom is feeding them. She feeds them 3 times a day for me. And so when she's feeding them, I am either doing the cooking or doing something around the house, whatever that may be. But meal prep is I try to do meal prep on Sundays, or at least get the Monday and Tuesday out of the way, so I don't have so much to do throughout the rest of the week. But I just utilize again those gaps, and I am an opportunity now where the girls are moving and they're mobile and they don't necessarily want to be under mama all the time. So I utilize those times when they're playing blocks. I go to the sink and I mosey around, and then I'll just grab some. I'll probably get the meals together. Then we are in the process of trying out all different kinds of things. So even if I make a meal, it may not even be sufficient for them. So it's just trying to have that balancing act of just kind of planning ahead as much as possible is kind of what I have found to be successful.
So now you've got 2 1-year-olds, your husband, your mom's living with you, you have your full-time day job as an attorney, and now you craziness launched a boutique. So how do you find time? I know a lot of moms want to know, how do you find time? Because that's a full hand right there.
It is. That's something that I work on every day. I work on it daily. So this week I was telling my mom, I'm going to try to do a schedule. I have insane amount of hours of work that I don't even feel comfortable sharing, because it's just not a safe thing to say. But I try to get an X amount of hours of sleep, and then it's not a huge block of sleep, but that's what works for me. And so I would just say, get what kind of hours of sleep work for you, and then let that be your thing. Let that be what your body, what's healthy for you. And so I just try to make a schedule as to what I need to do that week. I love I think they're like brain dump lists or something.
Yeah.
I literally am looking at one right now that I did this morning. I love that because it gives me an opportunity to see what I need to work on, what's priority, what's on my mind that I need to clear out, and how do I need to schedule that. Maybe I'll do that Tuesday, maybe I'll do that Wednesday. That helps out a lot. And then maybe being more specific and more intentional and saying, okay, I'll do this Tuesday at 10 o'clock while my mom's feeding the girls, or I'll do this at Wednesday while the girls are napping. So just being able to have that list and being able to know when I'm going to do it. And it may shift, but at least I have a projected date and time as to when I'm going to do it. I try to let Friday nights be my nights off, where I'll just sit with my husband and just spend time with him. While when the girls go down when they go down for bedtime. So that's my me time, my quality time. And I love junk TV. I just love it. I love Housewives and I love Gossip Girl. So those are my shows that
I'm Housewives. I'm a huge Housewife fan.
What Housewife franchise do you like?
Right now, I really love Beverly Hills, but I pretty much love all of them.
Yes, Beverly Hills is so good. It's by far my favorite one. I look forward to Wednesday nights every week. Yeah, so I'll watch that while I'm doing work, because to me it is kind of therapeutic, being able to do a little something that I like watching. Obviously, I can't watch it when the girls are around, but it just gives me some me time. I love it. I love doing that. And so for me, I'll do that early in the mornings. I'll watch it on Hulu, or I'll watch Gossip Girl and do work, and it's just so peaceful for me. And then what I also find that's helpful is doing my devotionals in the morning. I have let that slide quite a lot in the past. And I can just tell. When Mama doesn't have her devotionals in her system. And so I try to make that intentional every morning before the girls wake up, because I just can't concentrate with it. And it's no longer quiet time with me and God. It's quiet time with me, God, and everybody in the house. So I try to be intentional about that devotional time as well, because that really sets me up for the day.
Okay, I have two questions on Housewives right now. Are you team Denise or team everybody else?
Team everybody else.
You think so too? I think there's more to the story than what they're letting on.
Yeah, what about you? Your team everybody else?
Everybody else too, yes.
Yeah.
There's more to the story. She's holding something back.
And you can just tell in her confessionals, she is just a whole different person. I'm like, whoa, Denise, I don't even think I know who you are anymore.
I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that, didn't they say at the very beginning that Charley was trying to sue her for custody?
Yeah.
And maybe now she's got to kind of be quiet about things because there's that custody going on.
Oh, that's a really good point. I didn't even think about that.
Because she was very open last season to some of the things I'm like, I would not be admitting on TV.
I know. I was shocked. And again, it's like a whole different Denise. And I can understand why everybody is like, what? Wait, well, we can't talk about like what? So love everybody else. I'm not a big fan of
it. My oldest daughter lives in California. She's getting her PhD out there. Yeah. And she said that she's driven by Erica's house because she lives in Pasadena. So I'm like, oh, okay.
That gave me chills. Oh my goodness.
I'm like, my dream is to go out there and just to run into them one of the days.
Casually, right? Just casually.
Hi.
I have no idea who you are.
Not one bit. And I'm team Teddy. A lot of people don't like Teddy, but I love Teddy.
I like Teddy. I love her relationship with Kyle. I do too. I think it's so sweet and so genuine.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now let's talk about devotions. Are you going to do the new devotion with Restored for Moms when they start up?
I am. I just put it on my calendar. I'm so excited. They are so encouraging to me. I just love it. I literally, when we have them weekly, I look forward to it every week, and I just love being able to. I didn't dig as deep before the devotional. Mm-hmm. Now that I do now. Mm-hmm. I love the way that it's broken out and the way you have to like think about it and reflect on it. And so it's just given me a whole different perspective of how to do devotionals on your own. And it's just been so encouraging. I love the community. I always feel uplifted and feel, even if I'm going in on a heavy day, I feel so light at the end and just so refreshed. And it's just so good to know that other moms are having the same issues as I am. It's just such a good community. And I'm so grateful to be a part of the Sport for Moms.
Yeah, it's an amazing community. I mean, I'm not able to get up there as much as I'd like to the in-person meetings, but the online meetings are amazing. And Stephanie has done such a great job with them.
I am, COVID, year 2020 may not be the year that we envision. And I'm sure nobody saw this. I don't think anybody put COVID on their vision board, but I will truly say that 2020 has brought out some kinks and some uncomfortable moments in order for us to really literally pivot and to expand and to get bigger and to be more creative and to think outside the box. And I have loved the virtual component of this. Even from like going to like, if your gym isn't open, then you can stream online. Like that's a great opportunity when we're not in COVID and people live X amount. Like for me, I used to do Orange Theory, and I stayed 30 minutes away from Orange Theory, but I was really committed and really excited about the program and went into Blues Way, and I stayed 30 minutes away, so I had to drive 2 times a week, 30 minutes away. But I think that having the virtual has allowed another, it's opened up another door. And again, I truly, although this isn't ideal, I think I definitely know and truly believe that God is moving. The community that's been created, how strong, it's been good. It's been good.
Mm-hmm. It's made a lot of people step out of their comfort zones, because I know for one, I used to be behind the camera, never liked to be in front of the camera. And now look at me. I host a 2 times a week talk show on Facebook. I mean, who am I?
I love it. Oh my goodness.
And look at you, you launched your business during COVID, where a lot of people wouldn't have thought about launching businesses during this time.
I know. Oh, one day I'll know why, or maybe I won't know why. But either way, I'm enjoying the ride for sure.
So before we wrap up, tell me, I always ask this question. I never send it as a talking point because I want it off the top of your head.
Oh.
What is one unusual thing about yourself?
I have become reserved over the years. And it's not a fun unusual. It's like a deep unusual. So I'll just unpack it a little bit, not too heavy. I used to be very outgoing, very just very personable, very friendly. Never met a stranger, and it allowed me to have all of these like fun opportunities in college. I was homecoming queen, and all. It was just such a great opportunity. And then over the years, specifically when my father passed away, I realized that I started getting very reserved. I started not wanting to go to networking events. And even if I did, I would stick to my comfort zone. If I went with somebody, I would stick with them, or I just wouldn't talk. And I didn't realize why. And I don't even think I acknowledged it until probably about a year or even half a year ago, honestly. And I started realizing when I was going to events, like, why am I so nervous? Why is this anxious? Why do I get so anxious about this? And so it was revealed to me that that's kind of how I've been. And so I've been working on that to become more, to go back to myself, or to go back to, or not necessarily to go back, but to be what I genuinely was: personable, outgoing, friendly, but with somebody that's had some rough patches. And I think that makes you stronger. I think the opportunity to still be positive, to still be happy, and still be optimistic, even though life you haven't had the best. Some chapters haven't been the best.
Mm-hmm.
I think that gives you an opportunity to give God glory even more. And so I'm starting to discover myself again. And I'm excited about where this positivity, where this Chelsea is seeing herself again. And I think also being a mom, I was having coffee with my friend the other day, and we were talking about being a mom it changed you. You're no longer that same person. And I think in general, it can be hard to discover yourself again after giving birth and going through this huge life change, because you're no longer accountable for just yourself or your husband. You're accountable for these other human beings. And it's hard to discover Chelsea again. Not Chelsea the mom, Chelsea the wife, but Chelsea. And so I think with opening the boutique and all this has really allowed me to do something that I love and something that I can discover myself in again. So I share that just to say that it's okay if you don't know yourself anymore. If you see yourself and you don't recognize who that person is, because that's going to make you the stronger person on the other side.
I love that. You must have a very supportive husband too, considering the jobs. So that plays a key, right?
He is. My mom and my husband hold things down for sure. They're such an amazing team. God knew what He was doing when He gave me them.
Have they ever said to you, Chelsea, just sit down and rest?
Oh yeah. But they both they both know I'm not going to. So it's just formality at this point. I love being on the go. I always have. But I also do know that I set times where it's family. So from like 6 to 8, I'm with my girls, and I am with them. I'm unplugged most of the time, and I'm with my husband and my mom, and like we're spending family time together, because I never want my daughters to not know me because of me being, trying to be successful. I don't ever. I'm first and foremost a mom and a wife, and a believer, a mom and a wife. And I don't ever want that. That's my number one priority. I never want that to go to the wayside. But then after that, it's all the other things.
So do you have a children's line for Charley Madelyn?
I don't, but it is on my little list. It is on my like maybe list in the coming years. So we'll see. I try not to expand too much too quickly. I always knew that I think as a boutique, you specialize in the unique things, the things that people don't carry. So I don't necessarily have a huge line of denim because you can get denim from anywhere. But I want Charley Madelyn to be able to provide quality pieces that are unique and are different and that people don't see. So I say all that to say that it takes, I would definitely love a children's line, at least a mommy and like girls kind of thing in the future. But it would just take some time for me to like get one thing under control. If that's not necessarily under control, but get one
under your belt.
Exactly. And then go around and then go to the next one. I just started with jewelry. I partner with Design for Joy, and we have some of their jewelry. And so that's like treading in, the jewelry accessory area. So soon, well, not soon, but well, it's to come. It's to come.
And maybe 5 years down the road, but
right.
It's in the plan. It's just not right now in the plan, right?
Exactly.
Now, do you ship all over or just to the United States?
We actually ship all over. We just did an Australia order, which is really cool. So yeah, we ship all over. We are open to everybody.
That is so cool. I want to thank you so much for joining us today. And I cannot believe that you said that you were reserved, because I don't see that. You have just been just bubbly and just interacting and talking. So thank you for that.
So much. Thank you for having me, and thank you for this platform. And I'm so excited to see more chats from the Blog Cabin. I cannot believe that you just started this, because it seems like you have been on the roll in your season. So you are doing amazing.
I mean, I purchased this Blog Cabin in 2018, but it's just this year that I think God revealed to me, this is your purpose. This is I'm like, okay, God, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm getting in front. All right. And it actually started out as a challenge that I was in, and they said, go live and talk about your values. And I'm like, I'm not going to go live. If I'm going live, I'm going to bring a friend on, and I'm going to go live with a friend.
Right.
I got so comfortable talking to friends. The next day, that same afternoon, I'm messaging one of my friends saying, hey, you're shopping your house during COVID. You want to come on and talk about that? The next day, I went live again. So I'm like, oh my gosh.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited. And you do these every Monday?
Mondays and Wednesdays. And sometimes I do special ones too. So.
Okay, I'll be sure to stay tuned. I love them.
And then I end up turning them into a podcast. So you'll have a podcast, you'll get extra, and I'll put the videos on YouTube too. So you'll have all that. So it's exposure all around.
Oh, that's so good. Well, I'm so excited. I'm just honored to be able to talk to you. I appreciate it. And I hope that since we are semi-close, when things get straightened out, maybe we can, or straighten out, whatever that looks like.
Very normal.
Right. Maybe we can connect in person.
Yes, definitely. I want to thank you again, and tell us the name of your store again and where they can find you at.
Yeah, so it's Charley Madelyn, all one word. And you can find me on Instagram it's Charley Madelyn, all lowercase _. And then our website is www.charleymadelyn.com.
I
hope to see you all there.
All right. Thank you for joining us, Chelsea.
You.
Have a great rest of your day, you guys. Bye.
Bye.